Well, imagine what it would be like to have someone you loved disappear. One day you're in touch with them, the next, there's no contact. No trace of where they went, and all those questions about their whereabouts remain unanswered. Not just for years, but for decades. That's the case for the Jones family. They've been searching for answers about the disappearance of Tony Jones in North Queensland in 1982. Now, it's a well-known case. Tony, originally from WA, was travelling to Queensland and made it to Townsville. His brother Tim heading off west on his bike to Mount Isa, saying farewell to Tony, but never seeing him again. There was no trace of Tony since November 1982, and he never made it to Mount Isa. For over 40 years, the family has been asking for answers and being frustrated by an investigative and legal process that's failed to find any trace of Tony Jones or shed light on what happened to him. This is despite what the family says has been promising leads and information over the years. Tony's disappearance was one of the catalysts for the establishment of Missing Persons Week, and the family's quest is now the subject of a documentary that's being filmed right now. Brothers Mark Jones and Tim Jones are in North Queensland, and they're with me this morning. Gentlemen, welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
What is it like coming back to Townsville and North Queensland, being the last place where you had contact for your brother? What's it like to come here now?
It's always a little bit strange coming back here. There's been many visits over the years. It certainly takes the mind back to just the utter bewilderment of our first trip here. It was so out of the blue for all of us because our lives changed so dramatically at that point. Nothing really was the same after that. I was in the middle of university exams at the time. I was unable to do those because of the trip up here. Things changed pretty dramatically. So, yeah, we've moved on with our lives in that time, but coming back here, it certainly takes us back to a very, very bewildering time in our lives.
You were both young men at the time, and this now has consumed so much of the years since, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, as I say, there's been times, long periods in our lives where we've just gotten on with things. For 30 years, there wasn't so much as a lead. There wasn't so much as a whisper of the word suspect. And, we tried in the early stages to get things moving, to find some sort of breakthrough, but it just wasn't happening. And there gets a point where you've got to move on. But in more recent years, since the opening of an inquest back in 2010, things have started to happen. So, it's been pretty much all-consuming for some members of the family and, obviously a great interest to everyone in the family.
And so, Mark, does that mean that you feel now that you are closer to knowing what happened to Tony than you were before, or do you still have hope that you'll get those answers?
We certainly do. There was a considerable breakthrough around about 10 years ago when witnesses started to come forward. They talked about a man who had made admissions to them about killing somebody in Hewenden and disposing of the body at the slaughter yards there. Things have plateaued a little bit for a while since those early days, but a couple of years ago we had what we think is the big breakthrough, the smoking gun, if you like, and we think we now know a little bit about some of Tony's last moments, and they're terrifying scenes, and there's something that we expect will be brought out in a trial, so hopefully sometime soon. We've come a long way.
Because time, I would imagine, is still very crucial to you now, if people know information or if they see things or saw things at the time, passing that information on sooner rather than later becomes crucial as time runs out. Is that the way you look at it, Mark?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, where there are no leads, then yes, I think time can be allowed to just pass by. But I think where there are suspects in a murder, it doesn't matter how old that murder is. If there are suspects, then this is a here and now moment and has to be treated like it happened last week. It shouldn't be any different to any other murder case. And you're right, that the time is a massive factor. We've already seen any number of witnesses pass away. Even through this inquest, we've probably seen 3 or 4 people pass away that we would like to still have alive. Their families certainly would, of course, but people are getting older, memories are fading, and yeah, there needs to be resources applied, and this needs to be solved now. Yeah.
And Tim, are you hopeful that even people who might be listening today or hearing about this case, it would jog their memory? If they weren't closely involved, they might still have some crucial evidence, 42 years on down the track. Is that still your hope?
Yeah, that's the hope, yeah.
That people might actually be able to provide that missing jigsaw puzzle piece or something.
Yeah,
what would you say to those people if they're listening and they know something now?
Yeah, well, we certainly want them to come forward, and if they've come forward already, then they might have more to add. But we've got to thank the media for those people hearing the story in the first place and coming forward. So it's been a tremendous help, and that hope's still there.
It has been a long process for both of you and for all the other members of the family. I know that some members of your family never got that closure to know exactly what happened to Tony, did they, Mark?
No, that's true. Mum passed away quite a while ago now. Dad passed away last year, and my sister just a few months ago. And, we knew some pretty telling details about this case while Dad was still alive, and I begged the coroner to not waste time, that we might just give him the answers that we weren't able to give our mother, and sadly he chose not to respond to that plea. And here we are a couple of years down the track, being greeted by absolute silence by the authorities, by the police investigating the case. And yeah, you're right, there are people getting older. I hope we don't lose too many more anytime soon, but it happens. And I think what you say is right. This needs to be treated with urgency, and people should be given answers.
This has been something, as we've said, has consumed the family. Mark, you've taken such a lead in this investigation and trying to raise awareness for Tony. Tim, what's it been like supporting your brother over this time? I know you live not too far away now. You're in Mackay.
Yeah.
But to, provide that support, what has that been like for you?
It's been good to support them and to see their efforts and to see how much they've brought to the case. It's been quite incredible, the extended details and things that I never imagined would have come forward as they have today.
And of course Brian's not here today. He's been just unbelievable in his efforts, and you mentioned earlier about Missing Persons Week. That was a single-handed effort from him and a few other people close to him to get that happening. And I think there's been a lot of cases solved through that initiative. So yeah, he's not here today, but he's back in Perth and he's still beavering away, helping behind the scenes. He's been a massive part of this, hasn't he?
Yeah, there's been some really good positives come out through that, and also initially when Tony went missing, the support we got from the community at large was fantastic. It really helped to help us to keep our spirits up during that time.
I know you've still got some good friends here in Townsville, haven't you, after all these decades that provide support, and when you come to town, they're there with an open door, is that right?
Yeah, there's a silver lining to every cloud, isn't there? And we've certainly made some great friends over the years. And look, just tremendous support from the people in Townsville and people in Hughenden and all, just everywhere. And that makes a big difference to us to know we've got that support. And look, it's, you know, there's people out there that hold the key to this, and we've already had people brave enough to come forward and speak up, and there's others there that are just hanging back a little bit. We know who some of those people are, and others we don't know, but, you know, now's the time to do it. Now, time does not help. Everybody needs to just look deep and, okay, things were different 40 years ago in that town. People have grown up. They've got their own kids. They've got kids Tony's age when he went missing. No one would want this to happen to your own family. And I think people have got to put loyalties aside and say, look, this isn't right. And speak up and just help us get over the line. And
this is a message particularly for people who have connections to the Hughenden area, is that right? Is that where you believe that key piece of information, or where you can get those answers? Yeah,
well, quite astoundingly, 6 months ago the police announced that they know that Tony was there in Hughenden. They've never said that before. They've had theories, but they must have pretty strong evidence to make that statement. So yeah, all roads lead to the slaughter yards in Hughenden. The police have known about that location for 10 years and still hasn't been searched, and, you know, it's time.
You've come, I'm speaking today with Mark and Tim Jones. They're still asking questions about the disappearance of their brother Tony back in 1982 in North Queensland. You're here today with the documentary crew. They're actually in the studio here with us this morning. Are you hoping that by putting this on film, by making a film like this, it will move things along in some way? Are you sort of taking an initiative here in a sense?
Yeah, it's a line in the sand moment. You know, we were ecstatic 18 months ago to get the piece of evidence that we got and new witnesses that we felt would, well, we thought the shiny silver handcuffs would come out soon after that, but it's all gone quiet. Yeah, we need this to get over the line, and yeah, the documentary will tell our story. We're looking forward to that, but right now we need immediate publicity like this. This show's been unbelievable, this radio station over the years in reaching out to people, and we need people out there to think hard about what they know and be prepared to come and speak to either the family through the Facebook site that we've set up, or to the police.
It has been such a big North Queensland story over such a long period of time, and I know that your family's plight has touched a lot of people locally as well. It's also a testament to the strength of your family and all of the connections that you've formed in North Queensland as you continue to search for answers. So thank you so much for being with us this morning. Let's hope there can be some answers coming. It's been such a long and frustrating wait for the family and friends of Tony, but all the very best to you both.
Fingers crossed, mate, and thanks for having us today. Appreciate
Thanks, Michael.
It is our pleasure. That is Mark and Tim Jones with us today. If you have any information, as Mark said, do please pass it on. It may have been a long time ago, things that you don't remember too clearly, but anything can really help out. That's what this family is really wanting and hoping can happen. This is ABC North Queensland. My name's Michael Clarke.